Once upon a time, there was a young eagle who dreamed of soaring high above the mountain peaks. When it came time for his first flying lesson, he eagerly jumped from the nest, confident he would gracefully glide through the clouds. But instead, a fierce wind immediately swept him into a violent spin. He desperately flapped his wings, trying to regain control, but he plunged downward at shocking speed, the wind roaring and whipping all round him. The young eagle hit the side of the mountain hard and tumbled helplessly to the valley floor. Far below, bruised and dazed, he lay there thinking, "I'll never fly now. This is the end." Just then, his mother, the elder eagle, landed beside him. With deep empathy, she loved and comforted her son. Once the young eagle regained some strength, the mother gently said, "My son, that treacherous wind is not the end for you. I know it's difficult to see right now, but you need that adversity and turbulence. It's an essential part of learning to fly." The young eagle protested, "But the wind almost killed me." The mother eagle responded, "Yes, but that same wind is going to teach you how to master the sky. With my help, you'll develop the strength and skill to ride the fiercest gusts and currents. You'll learn to use them, not be used by them. This storm is not the end, my son. It's only the beginning of experiencing the breathtaking heights and freedom of flight that I have prepared for you." This story reminds us of Isaiah 40:31. "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." My friends, we all face storms that knock us down. The death of a loved one, a cancer diagnosis, a strained relationship, a financial crisis. In those moments we feel helpless. Like the young eagle, we just want the wind to stop. But what if these storms have a purpose? What if they are not the end, but the beginning? With God's help, our storms can develop our faith, build our character, expand our ministry, and prepare us for new heights. The strong wind is not meant to destroy you, but to help you rise above adversity into the life God has for you. Let's explore this together. Challenges and trials of divine purpose. Seasons of calm and stability certainly occur, but storms always return. Illnesses, broken relationships, career turmoil, family crisis. When the fierce winds start howling and the threatening clouds darken the skies of your life, your natural instinct is to run and escape. You desperately pray for the tempest to pass and for God to calm the swelling waves. But what if there is divine purpose in the storms? What if you're running away from God's purpose? As hard as it sounds, sometimes you need the storm. Those chaotic gusts become teachers to strengthen your faith and character. The booming thunder becomes a calling to comfort others going through similar storms. You need the storm because it grows your trust and dependence on God. When life feels sunny and calm, we often rely on our own abilities and resources. We become self-sufficient, forgetting our need for God. But fierce storms reveal how powerless we really are in the face of such overwhelming forces. As everything spins out of control, we finally hit bottom, arriving at the beautiful place of complete dependence on God. Painful but necessary. Storms blow away our false confidence in ourselves. Storms shift our focus entirely on our refuge, Almighty God. In Psalm 18, King David describes a season of violent storm, wave after wave of disaster. Enemies surrounded and attacked him. Death seemed imminent, but in desperation, he cried out to God for deliverance. David declares in verse 16, "He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters." God rescued David from the raging storm and set his feet upon the rock. What seemed to be certain doom became the catalyst for deeper trust in God. The storm drove David to fully embrace God as his only anchor. Now the storms you face reveal your fundamental inability to control life's circumstances. But take heart, for then you turn to the one who rules the wind and waves. You discover his power, presence and deliverance in remarkable new ways. This deepens your roots in Him. The strong winds that uproot the weak tree only strengthen the sturdy oak to withstand anything. My friends, your storm will develop your trust and reliance on God Himself. You will emerge firmly anchored in His love and sovereignty over your life. Never forget, you need the storm because it shapes your character. Fierce winds and pounding rain develop spiritual muscle, just as an athlete lifts heavy weights to build strength. Difficulties build Christ-like qualities in us: patience, courage, humility, compassion, and perseverance. The trials that seem to be crushing us are actually shaping us into the image of Jesus. He uses the storms to transform you at your core. James 1:2-2-4 explains it this way: "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Paul into Corinthians 4:17 describes troubles as light and momentary afflictions achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. God has eternal purposes in each tempest. Just as the immense heat and pressure involved in transforming a lump of carbon into a dazzling diamond, your storms have heavenly purpose in developing your soul into something beautifully Christ-like and eternally impactful. Consider biblical examples like Joseph and David. Young Joseph endured terrible storms of betrayal, false accusation, and unjust imprisonment, but he emerged from the tempest with faith refined like gold, a humble heart of forgiveness, and a passion to fulfill God's purposes. David endured storm after storm as King Saul tried to take his life, but through it all, David developed integrity, wisdom, patience, and spiritual authority. The clouds and storms eventually produced a king to God's own heart. Now, whatever relationship struggles, financial crisis, or a health diagnosis you may be facing will feel like a hurricane striking you. But if you keep your eyes on Jesus, the master of your soul, you'll develop his heart of compassion, courage, and spiritual authority. The winds howl, but your roots grow deep in love and faith. When it finally passes, you'll shine with Christ-like qualities that display God's grace in ways you never could have without the storm. Lean into him, brave soul. Let the tempest teach you. As Hebrews 12:1-3 says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." God is encouraging you to endure the storm and keep your focus on Jesus, because your end will be better than your beginning. My dear friends, we need storms because they expand our faith and shape our character. Storms enlarge our life and ministry. You need the storm because it prepares you for greater service. God often allows storms in your life to help others going through similar hardship. Your pain cultivates compassion and capacity to comfort those in the midst of trials. As 2 Corinthians 1:2-4 explains, God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble. We will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. If you've experienced divorce, you can powerfully minister to other divorcees. If you've battled anxiety, you can better encourage those struggling with mental health. Because you've faced infertility, you can now comfort an adoptive or foster parent. Sometimes God allowed your storm to prepare you for expanded impact, to reach lives you never could have otherwise. Your mess becomes your ministry, and your hardship readies you for your harvest. Storms also give you greater boldness and passion in sharing your faith. You have a powerful testimony of God's faithfulness through the fiercest winds. People connect better with someone who has navigated deep waters They will listen when you say, "Let me tell you about the mighty God, who strengthened me through the storm." Your story stirs hearts to open up to this loving Father. In 1 Corinthians 9:22, we see that Paul's sufferings equipped him to relate to everyone, becoming all things to all people to save some. The young eagle, after gaining some experience, will now have a credible and gripping story to encourage other young eagles. He will be able to say, "I know that's suffering, but let me tell you about the God who lifted me up." The storm victim becomes the storm guide. As Charles Spurgeon said, "I have learned to kiss the wave that throws me against the rock of ages." Beloved, kiss that wave, let it crash you into Christ, the solid rock. Then tell others of Him. The storms you face reveal your inability to control life, driving you to fully embrace God as your only anchor. They produce Christ-like character, deep roots of faith, and spiritual muscle, and they expand your capacity to comfort others in their storms. Your hardship readies you for harvest. God allowed your tempest to prepare you for greater kingdom impact. So see every storm as an opportunity to grow in surrender, trust, and service. Cling tightly to Jesus, your shelter in the storm. He puts the wind beneath your wings, holding you steady through howling gusts. Trust Him to develop your character and equip you powerfully to guide others to the solid rock who never fails. One day, you'll look back on valleys you walked through and understand God's loving purposes in it. Your storm will promote you to new places you've only dreamed of. God will take you deeper and lift you higher than ever before. Surrender to Him. Embrace the storm today and discover the new life He brings tomorrow.